No.
Good morning, everyone. Look who wants to say good morning today. Hi, is it Daisy and Red? Daisy? I'm going to spill this coffee.
Daisy is all wild this morning.
She's been very needy this morning, haven't you? Yes. I was going to say, please don't take the jacket off because she was wanting that jacket on.
I know.
The minute that I put butters on, she was like, I want mine.
I gotta match.
Yeah.
Yeah, the minute it gets cloudy, she wants it on.
I know. Red on the, or not Red, Jack on the other hand, does not want his jacket on
Not
today.
until it's really cold.
Yeah.
Well, hello everybody. Happy Friday. We are enjoying the nice cool weather. A couple updates. Our pig Rose is actually doing better. She's been on steroids for what we think is a slip disc and making some small progress, and her appetite's good, so we're gonna just keep doing what we're doing. And what else?
We're calling on you.
Good morning. Gosh, yeah, what else? You probably all saw our post about our horse Big Red. That was a really tough thing to happen here, and we're going to talk about that a little bit, and how that affects the other horses left behind, like Faith and how she's doing, and Maya, and the rest of the herd. What else? We've been out in the community a lot, putting up kennels and doing fence consulting and all kinds of things to try to help dogs stay in their homes.
Good morning, Brenda.
Good morning.
And Jill's gonna see Brenda later today on that very subject.
Brenda and I are going to be doing that later today. It's okay, Jack. Pardon the barking. There's someone driving out.
It's okay.
Anyway, just lots going on. Shelters are overrun and overfull, so we're trying to do our part to make sure we stem the flow of dogs coming in if we can by helping them stay in their homes or find new homes. And, for their benefit, for the shelter's benefit, for the family's benefit. And we'll also touch on that a little bit because we are going to talk about sort of the emotional lives of animals today, which seems like a real obvious thing, right? We all talk about our dogs feeling happy or scared or sad, or our horses, or our bunnies, or our cats, or our pigs, or whatever animals in your life. But it's also easy to forget sometimes how much that part of their life impacts them and how much it should inform our decisions for them. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to introduce you to some more sanctuary residents. Rajah, who was among the first 13 pit bulls we rescued, and he is very much the patriarch of the dogs here. We're going to meet him. And Blue Howland Dog Magoo, and we'll talk about the return of Tire Town. For those of you who don't know what Tire Town is, it's pretty exciting. And Jojo, Rajah's friend. We're going to meet all of them. We're going to tell their stories. We're going to talk about animals and bonds and how they care for each other and about each other, and drink some coffee in the meantime.
Good morning, Sherry and Clarissa and Kylie and James and Famila. I hope I said that right. Thank you all for joining us. We were sorry to miss last week, but we're happy to be back. And Jack is happy to be on camera.
Me and Puppy sweet right now.
Well, all right, happy fall. It's a nice, cool fall day here. Red's got her sweater on. Butters, who's still in bed, has his on too. We'll go see him in a minute.
Come on, Red. Come show everybody your sweater.
Jack and Daisy
It's got a big hole in it, but she loves it.
Well, she loves it because it matches Butters.
Mm-hmm.
Red wants to do what Butters wants to do.
I don't think Butters is going to come off his couch. He's not going to want to come off his couch.
Yeah, we can leave him. He doesn't need to.
He loves being on camera.
Does he though?
Yes, he does.
Oh, Butters.
Look at that.
Butters.
Can't miss out.
Before we wake you up.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, what did I get up for?
Matchy match day.
He feels a little shorted there.
Mm-hmm.
He thought there was something better going
No.
on.
Hey, no biting.
Good morning, Marilyn, Carol, Kaya, and Shadow.
These four are a real good example, I guess, to start with, of the ways that animals care for each other and about each other. Obviously we're their caretakers here in the sense that we feed them and take care of their health needs and pay the bills and all that stuff, but there's very much an element of their care that they provide for each other, and in some ways it's something we can't even replicate or equal, especially for dogs like Red. Red's world kind of revolves around Butters. When she came here, she was a really shy dog, really fearful dog, and she just didn't relate to humans very well, but she related to dogs, and Butters was there for her. He provided that kind of understanding, that initial companionship that she needed to kind of allow herself to trust this place and to trust us and start to build a connection. And many times for dogs who are in that space, they need another dog, or if it's a different animal, a member of their own species can do that often in a way that we just can't. And that's an important thing for us to recognize as animal caretakers and stewards, is what they need that maybe we can't provide for them, and do we need to seek it out elsewhere in a companion of their own species or whatever it might be. And Jack, same thing. He derives a lot from the relationship he built with Butters and Red. He's very much, despite his age, which is a little over 2 now, he is every bit a puppy, both in his demeanor and his temperament, but also sort of his emotional maturity. Although he likes to remind us that he's a big dog now and he's getting more mature every day. But he found in Butters and Red very much kind of the sort of the elders, or the mom and dad kind of figure, that sort of comfort of a pack with dogs who were older and more mature and comfortable and confident with dogs.
Daisy, are you helping?
Jack was a really nervous, reactive, stranger danger dog in the shelter, and a dog like him, it's really easy for them to cross kind of a tipping point if they don't have that comfort and that trust and build some relationships in their life that they can rely on and that provide them that. If all they have is reactions, that's not a very good quality of life, but it's also the behavior is going to worsen. And so for a dog like Jack, arriving into the right group of dogs and having Butters and Red play that role in his life was everything, and is everything. It continues to be everything. And one of the things that I think is different about the sanctuary and how we do things and how we care for our animals and how we place our animals is that we have the luxury of moving in sort of slow motion. We're not a public shelter. We don't have all of that to deal with. We can slow down and watch what's unfolding in these relationships and learn so much about what it tells us about who the dog is and what they need. For Jack, adoption is something that would have to be a pretty special person and home and other dogs that he built a relationship with for him to want to leave this. If someone showed up today and seemed like just the nicest people in the world and said, we want to take Jack, there's no way we'd just send him out the door. He would utterly suffer and probably behaviorally deteriorate from losing the structure that has become kind of the fabric of his life.
It's his family.
This is his family. And it's really important to know that animals value their family and those bonds no less deeply than we do. And losing them has an impact. And it hurts. And some animals are more resilient than others. We all process grief differently. We're all individual in the way that we move forward and how long it takes us and you know how we cope. Same as dogs. Um, but it's still a very real bond, and the loss of it still is a very real impact in their lives. So, you know, Jack would need to be able to find that and want to find that in someone else. That would mean, you know, probably someone coming here and taking the time to build a relationship with Jack, bringing their dogs here for play dates to build a relationship with Jack, and he would need to choose them over this. And that's why we went to such lengths to make the sanctuary a home, so that the dogs who do end up staying are not lacking in anything. They have a home. Jack really just doesn't ever want to be separated from Gabby.
Mhm.
That's his human. It's his favorite human in the world. And just a little quick throwback to Jack's story. Jack was at the shelter at the same time that Gabby worked for the shelter. So he knew her there. And then he came here, and it wasn't. He came here 8 months before Gabby came to work here. So he was out of her life for 8 months. So when Gabby showed up on day 1 to work here, you can imagine
He lost his mind, yeah.
Jack's excitement. It was like his favorite babysitter in the world was moving in.
Mhm.
So, it was really helpful for him. And again, it was a reminder to see that connection restored and how valuable that was to him. Because when he arrived, he liked Cody and I and the rest of the volunteers, but he liked Butters and Red much better.
Right. Look at you, little buddy.
He's being very stoic
Mhm.
right now. He knows that we're talking about him, and he's like, okay, I gotta be puppy mature right now.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's showing his mature side.
Good girl, Red. Yeah. It's a real good girl. Well, before we continue telling stories and talking about bonds and everything, who at home has a bonded pair of animals? I'd love to have you share in the comments. Such a interesting thing. Yes, that was Daisy peeing on camera.
She's already peed twice.
Mhm. I think she's trying to mark her territory in video.
Speaking of marking their territory, I don't think we'd ever catch it on camera, but there's a hummingbird that has moved in and claimed this territory, and he's just chased another hummingbird off, which is funny because you don't think of hummingbirds as being that way, right? They're just these sort of sweet, pretty fairy tale-like birds, but they're kind of stinkers. There he is. He's back in his magnolia tree and guarding his realm. We could spend all day just watching animals and how they behave and what they do.
And learn
Sanctuary's a
so
good place
much.
to do that. Oh, there he went.
I wonder if we can't catch that.
I don't think you can catch it. Oh, yeah?
Yeah, there he is. Right on cue. Yes, Marilyn, Shadow and Kaya are very bonded.
Yeah, sometimes there's really deep emotional bonds that, really matter for the dog's emotional well-being and their quality of life. And then there's also bonds that matter for everything else. Like Red and Butters have one of those bonds. Red would not cope well with life without Butters in it. And the same is true with Shadow and Kaya. That's a pair of beautiful huskies that Carol and Marilyn adopted and are very, very bonded. Kaya is really sweet and social with people, and Shadow, at this moment, doesn't want a whole heck of a lot to do with them, though he's making progress. But having Kaya in his life is an absolute necessity for him, and so there are not a whole lot of folks in the world who will go into a shelter and take a bonded pair. So for those who do, like Marilyn and Carol, we salute you because it means everything to those dogs. And we hope more people will start to do it because it's really devastating when bonded pairs are broken up, but also uh, it's if you're gonna have one dog, why not have two? You know, we always say it's really nice to give animals companionship from within their own species if they want it. Obviously, some dogs don't. Some dogs want to be only dogs. But if they want that, let them have that. It's also good if you do go into a shelter to adopt to just ask, because sometimes they don't offer that information, assuming people only want the one dog they ask about, and you may not know that they have a bonded buddy sitting back in the kennel, wondering why their friend didn't come back. So if you do go to a shelter to adopt, just ask, do they have a buddy they came in with, or is there a dog they're bonded to? And you could be an absolute amazing superhero and have like karma points through the roof if you just take them both. By the way, if there's anyone in the market for bonded pairs, reach out, because there are some lovely ones in our local shelter. We also have some here, but we'd be happy to tell you about them.
And we find that bonded pairs typically adjust to a new home easier because they have each other. They can rely on that emotional bridge, and just so much easier.
Yeah, I mean, think about when you go on vacation or somewhere new for the first time. Most people go with someone, your family, a friend. If you're going to a new place you've never been, you often go with somebody who's familiar to you, to share that experience, to make the newness easier to adjust to. When dogs go into a new environment, if they have something familiar to go with them, ideally a buddy, that's amazing. If we can do that for them.
We're gonna have to get a live camera that just follows Gabby and Jack. It'd be snuggle cam.
Yeah. Jack's snuggle cam.
Jack's 24-hour snuggle cam.
This doesn't only pertain to dogs. I mean, we so wish we could take the camera in there, and we're working on a better system to allow us to do that soon, very soon. But our pigs also show us every single day how much they care about each other and the ways that they care for each other. Over the last several months, we've had a couple of pigs who were struggling. One was a senior pig named Mabel, who we lost many months back. And in her final weeks, when she was a little less active and mobile and couldn't really defend her feed as well from other pigs. Pigs are very pushy about food, by the way, folks. One of our pigs named Petey, who's just a sweet, sweet pig, would go and lay by her while she would eat, because he was sort of the big pig in charge, and none of the other pigs would push him around. So he would lay in front of Mabel to protect her while she ate. And they didn't have any particular bond before that. They weren't close, they didn't hang out together. He just recognized that need and stepped in to kind of caretake her. And if she would sleep, we have various shelters all over our pig pasture, and they usually all end up down in the same couple, sleeping by each other. As Mabel became less mobile, she would sleep in one of the shelters further away that she hung out in during the day, because it was just too tough to make that walk back. So Petey would often sleep in there with her to keep her company. And we don't, I don't know how much people get to see that or know that about pigs. They're really caring of each other, and they're also jerks and pushy too.
Like piggy soup?
They'll bite each other and push each other around over their food. But they also very much care about each other. And when they do bond to another pig, they bond really, really deeply. We have a pig in there named Oscar, and he bonded to a pig named Miss Piggy many years ago. And she passed away years back. And Oscar grieved really, really hard for probably about a year. He didn't really interact with the other pigs that much. And he's coming around now and will interact with them more, but he has not bonded to another pig again.
Starting to with Elvis.
He's starting to, so Elvis, another young male pig, is starting to choose to kind of follow Oscar around and sleep where he sleeps. So the two of them are starting to develop a little bit of a friendship there. which is nice because Elvis isn't bonded to anybody and Oscar's not bonded to anybody, so they're sort of starting to feel their way through that together. And just, watching those relationships play out and the choices they make and what they do to cope and what they do for each other is really an amazing part of animal caretaking. And you don't have to have a sanctuary to do that. If you've got pets in your home, just watch what they do with and for each other, because it says a lot about who they are and how they help each other, kind of just cope with everyday life or enjoy everyday life.
Like Jack. Well,
So let's we'll give everyone a quick update on Faith, or Faithful, as I call her. Or maybe I'll let Cody kind of give that update. She's really struggling. But I'm going to let Cody tell you about that one.
Just what Jill said when Big Red passed, and we kind of, we were looking through old pictures and just remembering him. We realized that they've been together 16 years, never more than, 6 feet apart?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, they just had such a close thing, and Faith only did what Red did. She really didn't have any desire to make choices on her own. She just wanted to be where Red was, eat where he ate, stood where he stood. And if you can imagine 16 years of that and to have it go away really quick, it was really challenging. And so we've been checking on her a lot, and at night, she's by herself out in the middle of the pasture where her and Red used to stand. She's eating next to different horses, and you can tell that there's a discomfort there. She's just not quite sure what to do. So it's hitting us really hard watching her be in that space because there's nothing we can do about it. So it's a tough piece of this work for us to watch her happen. You guys are wild. We know that with time and support, that she'll get through it. It's going to be, she's going to need help, and we have been just trying to spend as much time as we can with her. And we've seen a little bit of her reaching out to the other horses. It's very subtle, but even the angle she's standing next to Maya, or where they're hanging out, we're hoping that we're seeing some other relationships forming. We don't expect her to bond like she did before, but we hope that she can find some sort of relief and friendship in another one of the horses there. So it's been a hard week on that front.
A lot of times, pet owners reach out to us when they've had a bonded pair lose the animal they're bonded to, and like us right now, they're struggling with the pet who survived. They're struggling with that pet's grief, and they want to know what they can do, or should they get them another animal. And the answer is we don't know, and we need to let them tell us what they want and when they want it. And Cody said there's nothing we can do for Faith, and that's kind of right. All we can do is sort of be there for her and allow her to go through this process. She's going to grieve, and we can't change that. We can't take that away. We can't force another relationship on her. We can't go find another old gelding and say, hey, here's a replacement for Red. That's not how it works. That's not how the heart works. So it's tough to watch the ones you love grieve. Same with our pets. But you have to honor that process and just be there for them. And when they're ready to have another relationship, I think they'll let you know. Some are ready right away. Some need a longer time. It's very individual. It's just important to kind of tune in and understand what they're looking for.
Yeah, and occasionally we see senior dogs that they really just don't want another relationship. You know, we see people that try to go through intros and meetings and visits, and that's not what they're looking for. They might have a friend that they can play with, but it's not necessary for that dog to need another companionship to replace it. Brenda asks, how do pigs and other farm animals come to be under our care?
Many ways. For the pigs in particular, it's mostly either people that had 4-H pigs and didn't want to take them to fair, or we've had a couple of pigs arrive that somehow escaped their farms, or maybe jumped or fell off the truck as young pigs or piglets and were not claimed. Lucky for them. And ended up with animal control and then ended up here. We had 2 pigs, Elmer and Mabel, who came to us all the way from New Mexico. They were actually auctioned off or raffled off as piglets with the intent to be used for food, and the person who won the raffle happened to be a vegetarian.
She was the only vegetarian in their community.
So she put them in her backyard, and they started getting really big, and they top out about 800 pounds, so they're big pigs. They started growing, and she started researching sanctuaries, and she found us and drove them to California. So, they, for the most part, all of these pigs started out on a farm where they had a very specific destiny, and somehow they luckily avoided that.
With the horses, it's a lot of abandonment, that kind of how they ended up with us.
We have one horse who was found out in the desert in Nevada, a domestic horse that was just dumped out there. Horses get dumped just like dogs do. We have some domestic horses whose owners couldn't afford their care anymore. Horses are very expensive animals to care for, so that's a pretty common scenario as well. And then we have a handful of Mustangs from Return to Freedom, the local wild horse sanctuary, who are just here as part of our herd. And Cody and I both used to work with Return to Freedom, and so we've had a very long relationship with them, and we've always, even before we started Shadows Fund, we've always had Return to Freedom Mustangs wherever we lived in our horse pasture with our other horses. So we come to dog rescue by way of horse rescue, Cody and I.
All right, well.
So we're going to go over to Loki's house, which is where we meet other dogs most often, and we're going to meet Rajah and Blue and Joe and tell you a little bit about their stories, because they've got some really sweet stories, and they've formed a really sweet little bond, the 3 of them. They're 3 seniors, and they're pretty special.
All right.
Okay.
See you guys later, Butters and Red, Jack and Daisy. Smile for the camera, you guys.
They say, why are we leaving them?
I'll let you go first.
Okay. Yeah. Daisy wants to go on an adventure.
Don't they always?
Mm-hmm. Right now, Loki is sharing his house. So he's in the front yard. Hey, little buddy. Hanging out on the deck. Ben says he loves those 3. Talking about Blue, Rajah, and Joe.
They're pretty lovable. There's Bob looking at us.
Yeah, in the distance there. Jackson
and Riley are barking at us. Winnie's barking at them.
Yeah.
And here's Blue. Joe.
Come on, happy dogs. Come on. And there's Mr. Rajah. He wants to know where the treats are.
I didn't bring any, bub.
Look how brave you are, Jojo. Rajah, he just turned 15. Jojo is going to be 13, the black one. And Howlin' Dog Blue Magoo is 13 or 14.
Yeah. I got no treat for you this time. I'm sorry, bub. I don't even have a toy.
He says, give me something.
I got nothing.
Brenda says, oh, the travesty, no treats. That's how he feels.
He's pretty sure you're holding out.
Yeah.
He
Good
just
job,
doesn't
Mr.
believe
Blue.
it.
That big dog.
I feel so bad. Because he always knows when he saw me, he'd always get a treat.
Right.
Mhm.
I feel really bad right now. Or a toy. Because there's been a few times when you've passed by
Yeah.
with him and I've given him a toy.
Mhm.
There's one right over here you could pick up and pretend to give to him. I don't know if they'll accept it. That's okay. You can have it. He doesn't want it. He rejects your toy.
Mhm.
Hey,
We can-
is this okay to talk out here? Can we hear?
Yeah.
Or can
Gabby
we
will
go
have to
inside?
either sit down or move. 'Cause she's out of the shot a little bit. But we can also go inside, and
Sure.
or if you bring the dog bed over for Rajah.
I don't know
I feel
if
like
he
I'm
wants to hear.
the party right now
Mhm.
with everyone.
Yeah. We're so sure you've got some treats.
You guys, I don't have anything. I know the last time everyone seen me, I had to. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
I really do.
Yeah. There's
This is
certain-
wrong, you guys.
You're certain.
Um,
So Rajah's been here the longest. He actually moved with us to the sanctuary. And have we told his story before?
no, we told it a little bit on his birthday post.
Oh, that's right.
So Rajah was part of the first 13 pitties we rescued from Baldwin Park shelter in Los Angeles. And he was just terrified of everything. If you are familiar with Winnie the Pooh, he was kind of like the Piglet character. Everything scared him. So he bonded to this really big female pitty named Nessa, who was very, very dog aggressive, but loved him. Kind of took on the mother kind of role, and he was very puppyish. And those two just bonded immediately when they came home from the shelter and spent the next 13 years or so not ever being apart, ever. Whatever, it was sort of like Faith in Red. Whatever Nessa did, Rajah backed her up. He was right there with her. And when she passed from cancer a couple years ago, we were really, really worried about Raj and what he would do without Nessa. And, you know, he really surprised us because he was such a sort of timid little dog.
He would hide in our closet
Yeah.
and wouldn't come out. It took people months, even years, building a connection with him. He was so
Yeah.
afraid of everything.
Yeah, it was sort of for our sorry, dog just hit the camera.
Mhm.
For our personal friends and family, it was sort of a badge of honor if Rajah came up and built a relationship with you.
Come on, buddy.
But he actually sort of put on a really brave face and just started building relationships with other dogs. Among them were Jojo, and I'll tell you her story. She was paired with a dog named Sapphire, and those two arrived here very much needing each other. So Jojo came to us from a rescue in Lompoc. It was a group of puppies and a mom living in a backyard in really, really dilapidated conditions, being very neglected. And we ended up taking all the puppies that remained and the mom and getting them all homes. But Jojo never found a home. She was really nervous around new people. We tried to introduce her to people, and she would just run up and bark at them. She just wanted nothing to do with it. And about a similar time, Sapphire arrived, and she was a mama dog who had given birth to puppies inside a shelter, and was very, very, very sick. She was malnourished. She ended up having to be separated from her puppies and hospitalized. And so, Sapphire was a mama dog who lost her puppies. All the puppies got placed. We took them too. We took her. We took the puppies. The first many weeks she was in our care, she was in a hospital recovering. But when Sapphire came to us, she was a mama dog who needed a puppy, kind of. And Jojo came to us as a puppy who had lost her mama dog and her litter mates and everything. And the two just connected right away. And really sweet relationship. Sapphire, every single night before they went to bed, would give Jojo a bath. She'd lick her all over and clean her, and Jojo just loved it. In fact, sometimes she'd come lay down right in front of Sapphire, like, hey, it's my bath time.
Yeah, asking for it.
Yeah, just really sweet. And again, when Sapphire passed, she had mast cell disease, and eventually it took her life. When she passed, we were really worried about Jojo because that was a very strong bond and a really unique relationship, and they were together every day, all day, did everything together. But she had Rajah here, who she had sort of formed this friendship with. And Blue came to our home after losing basically everyone and everything he ever bonded to.
Multiple times.
His was a really heartbreaking story. He came to us at about, I think he was about 8 years old, and had been in, I don't know, 6, 7 homes. Some had dogs that he bonded to, some didn't. But basically, every time he went to a home and bonded to the people or to the dogs, he eventually lost it. It seemed like he would stay in a home a couple years and then lose that home for life circumstances or reasons that had nothing to do with him. So he came to us a pretty heartbroken dog. I remember the day I picked him up. It was up in Northern California. He didn't know me, and I didn't know him, and his home needed him to leave immediately. So I had to show up to a door as a stranger and put a dog on a leash and drive them away from their home and everything he knew and loved and was familiar. And if you've never had to do that, it's really hard to do, and it's really heartbreaking. And it's one of the reasons rescuers struggle so much and end up, sort of with compassion fatigue and sort of like a PTSD emotionally, because it's a tough process to bear witness to over and over. So when he came to our home, we brought him into our home. We decided then and there we were not going to adopt Blue out. We were never going to make him go through the experience again of bonding and losing it. And the only way we could control that with certainty was to keep him ourselves. And that's what we did. We brought him into our home, and Blue kind of became the big soft shoulder to cry on for every other dog in our home who had lost something or lost a friend. Arnie and Bruno, the very sweet seniors that we had, when Arnie passed, it was Blue who took it upon himself to comfort Bruno. He went and laid with Bruno on his bed on his first day without Arnie. He befriended Rajah and Jojo. He's just kind of everybody's, I guess if Rajah's Piglet, he's Winnie the Pooh. Mm-hmm. He's kind of everybody's Pooh Bear.
He's everybody's favorite uncle.
And he's currently Hammy, that goofy, spunky little chai weenie. He's currently Hammy's favorite play toy. We have a really funny sequence of photos to share later, because Hammy just loves Blue. Everybody kind of does.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, again, we can love and support our dogs and provide as much as we possibly can for them, but there's something that these three have done for each other and have found in each other, and that dogs provide for one another, that it's really hard for us to replicate. When we're working or doing other things or busy or whatever, they're not. They're with each other. They're taking a nap side by side and providing that connection. They're out sniffing together. They're playing together. They just get each other, right? They're dogs. They understand the joy of just digging in the dirt in a way that we can't. So it's really amazing to see these relationships happen, but also it's really important for us to recognize and honor them and make sure we offer that to the animals in our lives if they want it and if we can.
Lisa said, I love the way you explain that emotion. I'm experiencing that with Lady Kim, and I'm grateful to hear it's a real thing.
Yeah, they're most definitely real. If you just spend time observing animals, you will see that they have, every bit as much range and depth of emotion, and it impacts them the same as it does us. And dogs and humans are different, and horses and pigs are different, and all animal species are different from one another, and they experience the world in a unique way. And yet, humans are not the only animals to feel emotion. We all do. All animals in the animal kingdom feel it. And if you spend time observing them, it's very apparent that they all feel joy and fear and love and happiness and all the things that life makes you feel.
He does not want to sit still.
No, he does not want to be still.
So, no, Rajah does what Rajah wants to do. He is very much his own dog.
Mm-hmm.
You don't tell him what to do, where to go, where to be. Raj decides.
And if he thinks that you're influencing his decision, he will do the opposite.
He will.
Like a good stubborn pitty.
Yeah. So, talking about animal relationships and how they relate to each other and things like that brings me to Tire Town. We are going to try to bring that back. And for those of you who don't know what Tire Town is, by the way, if you're here and you do remember Tire Town, please chime in and let us know. Tire Town was a weekly sort of comic strip we did with the dogs here that was kind of a, for lack of a better word, a soap opera that followed the lives of the dogs and their relationships and their experiences, and it's sort of a humorous tone. It started quite by accident. In our front play yard, there's a giant tire, and one day there was a big group of dogs out there playing, and we had a dog named Clifford at the time, and he would stand on top of the tire. And being out in a big group of dogs during a play group is a really great time to see some good dog behavior and dogs showing you who they are and how they relate to other dogs. It's a really unique thing to experience. And so we would be out there and watching them and seeing, choices they would make and how they would interact with each other and different personalities coming through on the playground. And Clifford was standing on top of the tire, as he always did, and Cody just off the cuff said, Clifford is the mayor of Tire Town. And that was it. We just sort of launched Tire Town as a weekly kind of the drama that happens in the play yard. And we also had a mayor from then out. Our last mayor was Bruno. And when Bruno passed, sort of in honor of his memory as the mayor, but also emotionally for ourselves, Tire Town kind of paused for a while. We just didn't have the heart to do it. It was a little too bittersweet at the time. So Tire Town has been on hiatus for a couple of years, but we're going to bring it back because it's a great way for us to share with you who the dogs are and the sweet and funny and silly things that happen here. So we will be holding elections. There's rumor that Big Al is going to put in a bid for mayor. Not sure who's going to run against him. We'll let you know. There will be an election. You'll all get to vote. And there will be a new mayor of Tire Town.
Brenda just asked who's going to be mayor. So we'll actually have an election, and you all will be voting. So
And,
we'll set it up so that there'll be, different options, and we'll see who pops up besides Big Al.
and Blue Howlin' Dog Magoo got his name during Tire Town because he's a singer. He howls all the time. So he's Tire Town's reporter. And so a lot of times the news from Tire Town is brought to you by Howlin' Dog Magoo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just want to say, you guys said not to pet her,
Mhm.
and yet she's engaging so much.
That because you're not petting her.
Yeah.
If you reached for her, she'd be like, I'm out. And Kylie remembers Tire Town. And Clarissa said this is cute and fun.
Yeah, it was. We derived a lot of joy from it, and the people who followed it did too. So I think it'll be a good addition to bring back, and bring a little bit of levity to social media. There's so much right now that's tough to see and read and experience on social media. So this will be a little weekly break for all of us. Thank you guys for being with us. I know everybody's busy and you have work and you do things, and so the fact that you take a little time out of your schedule to spend with us and talk about these things really means a lot, and we appreciate it. And today's conversation was pretty cathartic for us. We needed to just talk through this stuff, so thank you.
It's really interesting to see Blue. We think he's actually afraid of the camera, so there's a reason that he's been standing with his butt facing the camera most of the shot or away, and now he's decided to go away from all of us. So and Raj just doesn't care. Good boy, buddy.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, friends. Have a good Friday, everybody.
Julianne Silva says thanks for sharing and for all that you do.
Thank you, guys. Brenda, I'll see you this afternoon. And, yeah, we're going to go take care of these residents now.
Thanks, Sherry. Hi, Marta. Thank you. Girl, Joe.
There's a really cute little spider on me.
Have a great Friday, everyone. We'll
Bye.
see you next week.